Hey, welcome to Gong Jiao Wei, episode 4. Today we're going to talk about parenting because a special day has just passed, Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. I don't play mother. Okay, so we actually have two new parents today.
Yeah, two guests this time, right? So it's one of our old friends. We have Jason Neo Shihao with us and his lovely wife, Wei Lin. And Shihao, why not you start by introducing yourself?
Hey, I'm Shao. You can call me Jason. I'm currently a bartender with a notable group in Singapore. This is my 11th year in the industry. Also, I became a father last year. That's about it.
And we have another guest. Wei Lin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm willing. I'm the wife of Mr. Jason Neo Shihao and the mother of Darius Neo.
Yep, so we have these two new parents here today with us because it's a special weekend.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone. And so we figured that today would be a perfect time to talk about parenting because it's Mother's Day. And as we all know, mothers do all the work. Right now, Wei Lin?
Truth. Really.
She's so humble, don't even want to admit.
Yeah. But obviously, it's I do everything. No lah, because I feel that I want to bond with my son. Got the the motherhood in me. I want to be with my son. I want to be with my son 24/7.
Yeah, doesn't want to be with me anymore though.
GG, dude. You gonna upstage by your son Darius.
Yeah. This is karma, right? Like you have a son and then he takes everything from you.
Yeah. It's how the cycle of life works, I guess.
Is that why my
so
dad
if it's a
hates me
daughter,
so
right,
much?
then he will hang out with the daughter more.
Yeah.
That's always the case, right?
Yeah, that's always the case, right? That's what they say. Dads favor the daughters, and then moms always favor the son.
Is it?
We're gonna.
Oedipus?
It's very different. It'd be very different
Oedipus
if I had a
complex.
daughter.
Yeah, it'd be probably very different now. Never mind, soon to come. Next one.
That one can't even say KIV because she said
Slowly,
one
slowly.
enough already.
Actually, why not you all speak about that? Because I do have quite a number of students also who are single, just by themselves, and a lot of parents seemingly these days want to have only one kid. Yeah.
Well, I
can you
thought
speak to
you
that?
were saying your students mostly single parents. What the
Wow,
fuck?
GG, that one.
Oh, different age
That
group.
one I need to
different
call
age group.
police already. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I digress.
Earlier on, even before we had Darius, we never really we talked about how many kids we wanted. Ideally, we wanted 2 at that point. This was about, I think, a few months before the wedding itself. But then, like, when Darius came about, and then a lot of things, like, I've learned so far is actually quite touchy, the subject on having a second child. Because sometimes the experiences of having the first one sort of knocks everyone around. Like, to be honest, in the beginning, I think we had, even before Darius came out, there were a few fights about, like, what was happening, like who's taking care of the kid and everything, all that.
Right.
Yeah,
That
so
was
that kind of
between.
became,
That was between like the two of you, or were
just between the two of us. Just
Okay.
between the two of us. Because, like, funny thing is, like, initially, like, my parents didn't really show an interest in wanting to be part of the whole support group.
Right.
Yeah. They were like, oh, now that it's your turn, you have to go figure it out yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now you know how we feel.
Yeah. But then for her mom, especially, has been super supportive from day one. So at some point, like, sometimes when I bring up, like, stuff like, and this is not complaining, it's just, like, fact of the matter, when we argue about it, was like, is it okay if my mom look after the kid for, like, a day or a weekend, and then things sort of get off track there and we digress, and it gets pretty loud.
Right.
But then over time, like, I realized actually I didn't actually want my mom to take care of my kid because of other reasons.
Right.
So along the way, there were compromises on both sides.
I wouldn't say compromise. I think at this point, now I can say is, as the mother, she has every right to decide who and when Darius goes and is with and advocates for the word. So whatever she decides is better for Darius, then I just go with it. Cry off.
Lynn, any comments?
Must endorse.
Must endorse. If not, I've been living in a delusion.
No, I'm glad that I'm not on cam
Oh, why?
because suddenly when he was saying all these things, right, I just break down.
But it's not complaining. I'm just telling them
No, it's like-
for us how we went
No,
through it.
it's
Like it was
more
kind
of
of
like when he was saying all this, and then I think back of all those. Then it's like,
Yeah, a lot of emotions come flooding in, right?
yeah, like the
Right.
way he says, and till now, I'm so lucky that I'm not on cam, man.
Yeah, I never distort anything. It is as it is. It is as what has happened so far.
Right.
And
Right.
at one point, I think I just didn't disagree with her. I said, okay,
Right.
do what you think is right for Darius. Because that's what everyone else is telling me. Like, if you don't
Mama,
want your
Mama knows best.
yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean,
I'm pretty sure when you recap and revisit this whole thing, and I mean for Lynn, it is probably even more of an emotional thing. So just having to hear what happened was enough to trigger back those same emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
All
it's
right. So
But
how
if
was the
let's
journey
say-
for you?
If let's say there's no this whole hoo-ha thing, right? I might consider the second one.
I see.
But seeing how things are like from then till now, it really changed my mind. It changed my mind 180 degrees. Like I am definitely not going to have a second child. No
So
way.
my fault. Yeah, it's actually kind of my fault why we're not having a second child. Yeah.
I wouldn't say like
But it's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's not his fault lah. It's like it's
get
not
that.
like maybe it's like a kid is already so expensive, and if
Yeah, we're not even
and
talking
then-
about cost yet. We just
And the thing is, if I were to have another kid, I have to spend another how much again?
Everything came out to about $16,000.
Yeah, you see, and then
Right.
to test, and because both of us, right, are actually thalassemia carriers.
Okay.
So if let's say I were to have another kid, right, I need to go through another round of the expensive test, which is
Right.
Yeah,
to
the test wasn't cheap.
which is to take my what is the yang sui called?
She has to take the embryo fluid.
Amniotic.
Mhm.
The
yeah.
amniotic fluid. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and-
twice.
yeah, once.
So it's like-
I think during the end of the first trimester, then towards the middle of the second trimester, which is actually really sucky because we having taken bio, we sort of figured, it's a 50% chance. You either have it or you don't have it.
Right.
But then it was actually very nerve-wracking to feel like, there's a 25% chance that he's gonna be seriously medically unwell from birth.
Right.
Like every
He makes
2-3 months,
yeah.
he needs blood transfusion and all this.
If he makes it to
Ah,
birth.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he makes it even to birth. So
So
I
it's
think,
risk on an unborn child also lah.
Yeah.
Besides all the stress for you, the two of you.
I think it's more on me.
more on
I feel
her
the
because
stress.
she's constantly worried. Yeah, constantly worried. I think a lot of people wouldn't know this, except for my bosses and stuff, and family. Actually, before Darius, we had another one,
Mm.
but that didn't come to pass. And it was like out of the blue. Right, I think we were 9-10 weeks in,
Right.
and then suddenly the heartbeat just stopped. Yeah, and that was kind of difficult. So and that was like 6 to 8 months before Darius even came to be.
Right.
Yeah, so we took a really long time to recover from that first one. And then when Darius had to do the whole blood test, embryonic test with Darius, we were like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's another wave of stress just coming down.
Yeah, but it's a lot more weighing on her because the first one, we say recover, we didn't really recover emotionally from.
Right.
I think it still scares us. That's why like when Darius, every trimester, every gynae visit was so important because we had to be sure that he'd be okay along the way. Yeah.
Like they are actual major milestones each trimester.
Definitely. Like first trimester is I think once you make it past week 12, that more or less means the fetus is stabilized. Then the next milestone is week 19 to week 21, and then there's week 28, 30, and then 36. If you make it 36, then thereabouts you'll be planning on whether you want to do an induced labor or you want to wait for the contractions to naturally come in. You start making payments for like the hospital suite, the ward. Yeah, and then you start mentally preparing as okay, it's coming. Like then you sort of give due notice to everyone you're working with, and like, I might have to take off anytime. And the best part was like the company's been really great. They've been really empathetic to that part. Like everyone knows like it can be difficult being just waiting for the baby to come. So they were like, if you need to go, just go. Don't even come in. Like even if mid-shift, like just go. It's fine. Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah, so you got support from that. I mean, it is definitely difficult. So, Waylin, would you mind sharing perhaps, since Darius came out, what's some of the most difficult stuff with regards to parenting?
I think the first few months, the first 3 months, because I wanted to go full on breastfeeding.
Right.
So it's quite tiring because you have to wake up in the middle of the night just to express pump up, or you just have to let Darius latch onto my nipple. So it's like for the first 3 months it's very painful because right, I have no idea how he latched until it can bite until I bleed, that kind.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's like it's a super painful experience, but it's actually also an experience for myself because I wanted to go through all this kind because my sister was saying very painful, cannot, you must endure, you need perseverance, you need determination and everything. So I wanted to like say how tiring is it. So actually quite tired but I think it's all worth it till now because I wanted to give the best to Darius. Whatever it is, I want to give him the best. Like if he wants something that is expensive, I will try my best to give him that. But if not, I'll try an alternative. But for sure, I will give him 100%.
Right.
Because
I mean, mother's love right there.
So much.
Yeah, real respect there. I mean, also, they do say that breastfeeding the baby raises the IQ of the baby. So right then and there, you done it already. Good job.
Yeah, like my 1 year's breastfeeding of journey ended so I feel that at least I made it through the 1 year. Like some parents didn't make it through the first 3 months because it's either they feel tiring or they feel that it's like formula milk also can it has the same purpose and everything, but I feel that breast milk and formula milk have a difference because I know breast milk have a lot of nutrients from the moms and everything. So for me, it's best that if I can give him until like how long he wants, right, then it's okay But if let's say one day he doesn't want anymore and I also I have none left, right, then that means that he's ready to go on to formula milk that kind.
There's also the bonding aspect of breastfeeding, right?
Yeah.
That's when you get like really close to your child and like you're actually giving life. Yeah, like feeding your child from your body, and you're actually providing for him. So
it's like
a huge emotional.
The bond there is like you feel that it's there but I do not know how to describe the feeling, but you feel that the bond is there.
I want to say I understand, but yeah, I will never understand.
we will never be able to understand
until I start lactating myself and being able to breastfeed her. But interesting fact: do you all know that men can actually lactate? So there have been instances where if the male feels a necessity to become in that sense, the maternal instinct kicks in to take care of the child. Some men have been known to actually be able to lactate to produce milk. So yeah, that's a very strange thing, but yeah, it can actually happen. Hope mine don't start leaking now. I think I should be fine now.
No baby crying sound.
No baby crying sound, yeah. Then I'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah. So when did that question start leading up to actually deciding to have a kid start popping up? It was before the wedding lah.
Yeah, I mean, like before the wedding, we were already talking about kids. But then
Right.
I think something her mom said actually quite true. Like you cannot plan on.
Right. Because
Like,
one of the
you-
questions I wanted to ask is like, okay, whether is it, the decision to have a child, is it a very socialized thing, like very matter of fact, like you're going to get married and you're supposed to have a child, or was it already in the thought? Was it conscious? It's like I want to bring a life into this world and like nurture the
I think
child.
towards planning leading up into the wedding and everything, we already talked about whether we wanted kids and how many we wanted. That's why I said, we talked about like, having 2 and stuff like that. And then things change and stuff. But like the whole decision, I think, while we planned to, we didn't really put out a date and say, let's do it by then and then.
Right.
But at the same time, also like Lynn she's very concerned about her bio clock, especially with the whole notion that past 30 it becomes a little
Right.
more risky to have kids and stuff like that.
All women it's
Right, yeah. It's a
It's a generally accepted notion.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we definitely knew was the first one would be out before 30. And considering like when we got married, we were already like 26, 27, we definitely were already thinking about it.
Right.
One more, we didn't really spend a lot of time dating. Like I think some people, they would have dated someone for like 4 or 5 years before even thinking about like, should I pop the question?
Yeah.
I think we dated for about like a year plus, a year, 6 months, 7 months, right? And then like she sprang it on me, and then I sprang it on her. Like it's gonna be funny now because if you would believe it, Lynn's actually the one who proposed to me first.
Nice.
If you would believe it, like I woke up one morning and there she was by my bed, and she took out a ring. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yes,
Yeah,
reverse the gender rules.
Yeah.
No need
Yes.
to.
First move,
stick
she
to
got first move from me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Equality,
she got first
right?
move from me.
Waylin, what's on your mind now?
I like your style, dude.
No, but he kind of expected that I would propose to him,
Right.
but he just didn't know which day. But then on the same day, I think is it on the same day or I don't know which day, he told me that he went to Love and Co to have my proposal ring done.
Yeah, so a month before that, she's bringing that ring on me, right? I had already gone and ordered a ring for her,
Nice.
like, with her measurements and everything. Like she didn't even know, because if she knew, she wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So there was a alignment there already, unspoken
Yeah, man.
alignment that you guys wanted to pop the question to each other.
Yeah, I mean,
tie the knot.
I even went ring shopping with Ming. So Ming went with me, and then we went to like Tiffany's. We went to like all the different jewelers and just to get an idea what it means to buy a ring, like the ring size, the material of the ring itself.
Research stage only lah.
Research stage, and finding out like, the carat size means this, the color code means this, the purity, the clarity, and so I'm like, fuck, man. This stone costs thousands of dollars, has no practical use at all.
Why you gotta take the romance out of the whole thing, man?
That's romance isn't practical, I guess, right? It's a feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but like, besides the point, I mean, we went with it and she proposed and then I proposed like, I think 2 months later because the ring took that long to make.
right.
And then I think all in all, like I would say on having kids, definitely there's a ship mentality, definitely. Like everyone would definitely think that way of like, now that we're married, maybe we should start thinking about kids. But I wouldn't say it happens to everyone organically. Some of them feel less pressured to think about it. Some of them already like, they've been dating for a while. They always knew that they were going to end up together. So they sort of plan out like a timeline of
Right.
when do we want to have kids, when do we not want to stop trying and stuff like that.
I think
Yeah.
the whole journey is quite different for a lot of different couples. Some
Yeah,
they
so-
like plan it to the T one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when
Down
the kid's gonna
to
be
the ovulation.
conceived.
Down to the ovulation dates.
When I want
Right.
my birthday,
Most fertile.
my baby's birthday to be, they
Right.
plan all that way, man.
Yeah, but for us, what her mom said was true lah. Don't plan lah. Just do lor. Do until have lor. Don't have then continue doing lor. Do until have lor.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's quite different from culture to culture also. I mean generally we Asians, so we come from a fairly conservative society. Marriage tends to come first, so that's what's recommended before you have kids. But if you go around the world, you look at other cultures, and some people don't even consider marriage, and they have no qualms about having a kid. So yeah, I guess it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And
Speaking on that, does Darius have to be a lawyer or doctor when he grows up?
Oh no, he's gonna take over Faker.
he's gonna take a what?
He's gonna take over Faker's place.
Over Faker's place.
He's gonna take over. So no.
What's Faker's place?
Okay,
So-
you
so-
don't get the reference. It's
So Faker is a very very prominent esports player, right?
Okay.
yeah.
And-
Probably they would say one of the best League of Legends players in the world. He's the best.
He's a god.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
he's the Korean god of League of Legends. So yeah, so that's big pressure on your kid,
Oh no, but he doesn't know that yet. But
right.
you can ask Lin.
Right.
You can corroborate this with Lin.
Uh-huh.
He likes sitting at the keyboard more than at the like with his toys. Like so Lin bought him like building blocks, a small bicycle and stuff like that.
Mm.
But every time he sees me at the computer, he's like he wants to come over here and sit at the computer and he's mashing away on the keyboard. Even though he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
But he's like getting a really good feel of the keyboard right now.
But I think your
plays-
kid looks at what you're doing, then he's like, "What the fuck is my dad doing?" Like, let me check it out,
He
man.
sits here and he's super entertained by the keyboard and everything.
Yeah, you stretch out his two hands, right? You see whether automatically it goes to the WASD position and the mouse. Then you'll
Left hand
know already.
have.
Bond
Right hand
came
still
out.
training. Right hand still training.
Right. Interesting. So Waylin, what about you? Any thoughts on your kids' future and things like that?
As long as he can earn money and support me, can liao. He needs to
Okay.
give me money,
Interesting.
Yes.
give me
Repayment.
allowance. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of our culture that filial piety and the whole allowance that we give to our parents and all that. I have a few Angmo friends who are very weirded out by that idea, right?
For paying
They
money, giving money monthly.
Yeah,
Okay.
to your parents. Yeah, they find that a very strange concept. Any of you ever experienced that?
I find that probably stems from like this notion that your parents owe you nothing, short of giving you a roof over your head and taking you through your
Childhood.
adolescence.
Right.
Then beyond that, like once they move out or they decide to go like venture out and find a career for themselves, the parents are like, oh, okay, you're on your own. I think rarely you hear like for them in particular like a case where they still ask for handouts from their parents unless they're really hard up. If anything, I think most of them, Caucasians in particular, are very stubborn on not getting a handout from their parents because they want to show that they're independent. They don't want to show that like they're not a fuck up.
It's a more individualistic culture.
Yeah, it's
Compared
very
to
encouraging
us.
on independence.
Yeah.
Yeah. For us, it's not that we cannot. I'm sure like a lot of us when we were coming out from JC, from poly and moving on to uni or coming out to work, definitely we've considered I want to move out.
I know you
I wanna
did.
move out and be my own.
You have voiced that out
Right.
quite a number of times.
And
Right, yeah.
but for me, always the biggest problem was I can't afford the rent.
Mm.
I can't afford rent in Singapore. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. So today when experts say like, oh, most Singaporeans living with their parents, actually a lot of them you find that they are above 30 and into their 40s. I'm like, that's not their fault. It's the system. The system doesn't encourage this sort of move out from your parents and be on your own sort of a sort of a mindset. Because in itself, when you come out to work, most people spend the first 2 to 3 years paying off their student loans. And the most sensible way of doing it is to save on the other stuff like rent, like expenses, like I don't know.
And not just that, like if you're both working parents, then who take care of the child? Like a lot of times it falls back to the grandparents who will be
they hope
looking after.
lah.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's very lucky for a lot of people who still have the grandparents to look after the child.
Yeah.
Not a lot. You still have to depend on daycare center. Then that's what extra expenses to them as well.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, it's all this added cost when it comes to
I mean, in Singapore, I maybe even in Hong Kong, I guess the whole I think one of the biggest difficulty going into to bringing up a kid is cost. You cannot escape from this cost. But the question here is how you recognize like what is a must have, what is it's a good to have. When we think about it, right? Dance classes, piano classes, even martial arts classes today, I think you can say these are all luxuries. Not everyone can afford them. Most people don't. They can't see their way to say, oh, my child must have this. In fact, even I think within our batch, our generation, if you think of the people who actually had a sub skill, sub skill set into schooling life and everything, you find that they spend almost every day doing something that their parents wanted them to do, not something that they wanted to do.
Do you think their parents are pushing them to do what they wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that a lot of times, it's about all the unaccomplished things that the parents have not done, and there's this projection that happens, and they kind of force their kid into doing all these things because that's what they wanted to do. And it's actually quite a problematic way of parenting. Essentially, as a parent, or this is according to National Academy of Sciences, and the role of a parent is like a mediator, somebody who just helps provide like an interface, between this world and their child. And it's not actually meant to push their own agenda essentially on their children.
Which is why, like, for me, Aline, like, there's no hard and fast, oh, he must be a lawyer, he must be an accountant or something. It doesn't make sense because he's not gonna, if he ends up wanting to do it himself, yeah, sure, go for it. Like for us, if you grow up a good kid, then I think that's enough for us already, I think.
So what constitutes to a good kid for you guys?
I think that must ask Lin. Like
of course, it's the mom.
Yes.
No, because I've lived a very different life from most kids.
Right.
The amount of freedom I had growing up, it's ridiculous. Most guys are like, what the fuck? It's 10 p.m. How are you still outside? So for Lin,
what's your idea of the best outcome, or a good son essentially?
I think like obey the parents, but then even if he does something wrong, right, try not to scold him, because I feel that if scolding him right, it might lead to another turnout event. Right. So must try to like talk to them nicely, because nowadays kids cannot be forced, man. If you force them, right, then jialat already. I will die. I cannot live without my son.
Like reverse psychology like that.
Yeah.
The more you tell them cannot do something, it's like, okay, I'm gonna.
The more they want to do it.
Yeah. So
right.
nowadays kids very clever, very smart. Right? If you show
That's
them
true.
once or you tell them once, right, they will know, and they'll be like, I remember it forever.
I mean, yeah,
But when
given the
he grows,
day and sorry,
but when he
continue.
like grows older, right, I will also worry lah, because like if he goes primary school, right, also scared he kena bully. Then I also scared like, wow, after school where he go out, then I will also like think, cannot so young go out lah, must like after school go home that kind. And then like secondary school, I think I will worry still lah, like, wow, where you go so late, why you don't
Right.
call me, give me a call, that kind. But I feel that nowadays kids and parents, right, must have those kind of communication like they must really talk to you, that kind.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
agree.
yeah, so it's like for me, I would want my son to talk to me and then be by my side lah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
I understand that.
imposing your will on them too early, it kind of has the reverse effect.
Yeah. Speaking of controlling your kids and all that, right? I want to share with you some advice. Keep Darius away from SpongeBob SquarePants. Okay. So there's this actual study that they did in 2011, the Journal of Pediatrics. They found that cartoons like SpongeBob, very fast-paced cartoons, even for just a few minutes, ultimately hinders and it stops abstract thinking, and it affects short-term memory. So impulse control and all that goes out the window. So it got so bad in this study that, half the kids that were tested and the kids that were tested with a non-fast-paced cartoon, kids that were tested with the SpongeBob cartoon, right, ended up performing at half the capacity of the ones that didn't watch SpongeBob. So, when they released this study, then they, shit hit the fan. SpongeBob directors, creators all had to come on board. And the shows basically say that SpongeBob is meant for 6 years old and up. So, yeah.
Non-formative years lah.
Yeah, correct. And that's the danger lah. Even something like this, fast-paced cartoons, you may not think it might affect your child, but just throwing this cartoon in front of your child, you have no idea what that does to it.
I'm gonna introduce him to an anime early on, like Slam Dunk, Dragon Ball, things that run for like hundreds of seasons and have no absolute ending inside.
Happy Tree
So
Friends.
just make GG that one. The fast-paced gore, everything, child grow up serial killer, 100% confirm that one.
But we watched that as kids growing up.
Not as fucking 3-4
not 3 years old lah.
Yeah,
I mean, we were like
11,
what?
12,
I found 13. Out. Yeah, that's why I found Happy Tree Friends when we were like in secondary school and stuff like that. I don't know how early you went into that, Gi. So yeah.
I don't know.
I think like for us, it's more of a, we want to be the parents that your friends can come and they'll be like, hi uncle, auntie, and they can hang out. They'll be fine. They'll be like, and then we can supervise them without actually saying, oh, we're supervising you.
Right.
Like imagine like when we were growing up, I think a lot of us we were quite comprehensive about going to other people's houses.
Right.
Because we never really know how their parents are like, and we're like, what if they think
what if
badly
they
of us
teach your
and stuff.
kid this? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and even for other kids, like they'll be like, oh no lah, my dad's very strict. Maybe not so good to come to my place and stuff. Then we get this impression that we can't really do anything fun at his house.
Yeah, it's not like we're shooting up heroin inside our.
True. But I mean, like for me personally, I feel and she's gonna give me hell for this, but like I want to be the dad who can bring Darius to the club and show him how to drink coffee, how to take care of himself.
I don't think he wants to go with you also.
I don't know.
Okay, which kid wants to go to the club with the?
Okay, maybe not the club in that sense, but have a drink with your dad, right? Like
but
have
think
that
of it
first
this way.
drink. Yeah.
Imagine, right? Like because of my current profession, eventually,
Right.
there isn't a drinking hole he can go to without someone calling me and say, hey, your kid's here. What you may do anything for him? Like I'm like, just fuck with him, like mess with him also. Stuff like that. It's hard to avoid because I'm already in this profession.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you never know. Maybe your kid just doesn't want to drink alcohol.
Oh, then that'd be crazy because then his mom would Lynn will be super happy because she doesn't like to drink either.
Right. Then that means following Lin instead. Right.
Yeah, then I'll be. I mean, I feel the need to show him how to do these things properly rather than him exploring with his friends who don't know any better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be a bonding activity with your kid? You know, growing up, it's like, you know, you fix the stuff around your house. That's kind of how you bond with your kid. You start teaching them how to use like tools.
I think
and,
we
and,
haven't
you know,
really
be
got
handy.
we haven't really got that far yet.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
just
of course,
to,
he's still young. Yeah,
Yeah.
but what would it be like smoking a cigar or
when he's of age, yeah, sure. Smoking a cigar, having a whiskey, that'd be cool. Like, you know, like a platoon mate of mine who I used to serve with, like his dad is like cool guy, man. Like we go to his house and he's like, there's whiskey in the back. Just pick whatever you like and you know, have some. He didn't say have the whole bottle, he just said have some.
right?
And he's this man, he's just sitting in his armchair having a cigar on the porch. He's like, hey, there's whiskey at the back, just help yourselves.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think sometimes it goes back to like how much the adult trusts the kid. Because a lot of time the matter of fact is that the adult just doesn't trust the kid to make good decisions and they try to over control. That's when things
Correct.
go out of hand. So you kind of
Yeah.
overcorrect their behavior, and out of just being the fuck that I can, I'm just gonna defy you. And that's when shit happens. So
but I think that's where we have to consider like how do we instill trustworthiness from a very young age? Like how in very small steps that is very feasible. That, you know, he learns to be accountable for his actions.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely gonna mess up. He's gonna make mistakes. He's gonna do like
yeah, we only
like
human.
dumb things, right?
Exactly.
But it's whether he can own up to it and say, oh, okay, I learned from this, and I'm never gonna do this again, and stuff like that. Like even like sometimes when like I joke with Ming, hey, what if one day your son call you right and say, I need your help. What would be that first thing that comes to your head that he will need your help with? Would you rather like that first thing in your head? Oh shit, he knocked the girl out.
I think right. The very fact that he's calling you to ask for help, right, means you did it right already.
Yeah,
right.
that's the whole thing.
How many times in in our own lives, right, where we had that courage or that trust with our parents to just go up to them and say, "Oh, I fucked up so bad."
You fuck up, the first thing is to hide from them.
Yeah, exactly.
They decide they're gonna fucking kill me, man.
Run and hide.
That's why. See, so that right there is not a sign of very healthy parenting. Not enough. I guess it would constitute to not enough love and support in a way, right? Because if you show your kid that there's enough love and support and without that much punishment or negative reinforcement, then that kid ultimately is gonna trust you or gonna want your help when they are in the ditch, right? But if they want to run away, then it points to a different story. Yeah.
So like on this, right? Lynn actually comes from a very different upbringing than I did. Her parents are. Yeah, I actually don't know how to describe this. Have to get her to say herself. Like,
Lynn, how's your upbringing like?
Yeah, Lynn, what's the difference like?
I can really confide. I can really talk a lot of things to my mom and my sisters and everything. And then they are very supportive and they will give feedback as well. Like there's this like siblings bonding lah. Like sometimes every month, we will go have dim sum as a family or have some dinner eating, and it's like
family day.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
important. And it's crazy because like when I was first introduced to the family, it's actually one of the reasons why I want to go to her parents' place, like whether for dinner, for some family gathering or something. Like even like sometimes if work allows or doesn't allow, then too bad lah. But like if I've got nothing going on and I can make it, I'll go down 100%.
Right.
And it's hard to see. I don't even have the kind of enthusiasm for my own family. I mean, it's sad to say that, but like when my mom says come back home for dinner, I'm like, there's a lot of procrastination. There's a lot of like I don't know.
Resistance from going back.
Yeah,
Right.
just the whole thought of me like initially moving out was just to get out of the house.
Right.
You know, because I spent the first 20 odd years of my life under this roof, under this oppression and shit. But I say oppression, but then like I still got a lot of freedom. I still got to do a lot of things that I wanted to do, or I you know, those things we did growing up. Most kids wouldn't have that kind of freedom. I had it, but I still felt very suffocated by my parents.
Yeah, so that's actually a phenomenon that occurs where parents actually give their kid a little too much freedom, and because of that, there's that no sense of structure. And I think Lynn will agree with this also, because I mean, you seem to come from, you know, a more structured family. You know, you have things like family day even, and when you give your kids that kind of structure to follow, right? There's that level of connection that builds, and you don't feel they in a sense don't care. I want to say it like they don't care about you, you know, it's just let you do whatever you want. But yeah, at the same time, it's not really that also. So I guess it's a very fine balance between, you know, that freedom and structure, right? So I think that's one of the most like important things to get right, and difficult too.
And a lot of times it's like it kind of perpetuates itself, because a kid growing up in a situation like that, they would internalize that, and you know, that's a norm for them. So when they have their own family, you know, that's how they will operate lah. That's the habit, that's the mannerism that's ingrained in their head. And if you don't if you don't have that growing up, it doesn't mean like, you know, your parents don't really care for you, but they didn't have that as well, so they don't know better also.
Exactly.
And
right.
yeah,
I
it's
think
the
that's
breaking out of that pattern that's, you know, kind of
yeah,
what
and
changes things for people.
for that to happen, you know, we're gonna take time, and it's gonna be, you know, a progressive thing that moves forward. You know, back then in what, the 50s and the 40s, we didn't have, you know, books on parenting, we didn't have psychological studies on parenting, so these things have to take time to evolve. And you know, only after some time then we get this knowledge and this understanding of parenting. It's a bloody difficult thing, man. Yeah.
The funny
So
thing is they teach sexuality in school, but you know, after even if you have a kid, then what do you need
what's
to do?
next, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I guess it wouldn't really apply in
because no
secondary school
kids
lah.
in at the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
But after
But
that, also like, you
yeah,
know,
I feel like it'd be one of the important modules, like all perhaps unis should have, or you know, some tertiary educations should throw in this idea of parenting and what the hell it's about. You know, just like
right,
financial planning, right?
Or how
should
to
be
adult.
common
How to
knowledge.
adult.
Yeah, how to adult. Yeah, adulting 101. You know, essentially. And yeah, it's probably something lacking. Kids grow up and they know about the 5 C's straight away, right? But there's actually the 4 C's in parenting. Do you know about that? It's
So,
care, consistency, choices, and consequences. I mean,
Not
you guys know
caning,
it lah.
computer.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about it. You know, your worries about Darius as he grows up and all that. You know, it's covering all these things. So I don't think, you know, y'all are. I think y'all are on the right track. You know, y'all are worrying worrying about the right things that you need to worry about, without, of course, worrying too much, which often leads to over parenting. Yeah. Oh, speaking of over parenting, have you all heard I'm pretty sure you all have heard the term helicopter parenting before.
that
Yes.
one, the 24 hours all over the kid.
Yeah, there's this other idea which is I don't know why not many people are aware of it, but it's called snowplow parenting. It's okay, so helicopter parenting is where you excessively monitor and keep control over your kid and just breathe down their neck. Snowplow parenting is where you I noticed this, and I mean, it comes with being affluent. Parents who can afford to do it basically remove all obstacles in their kids' path, and so like a snow plow, clear the path for them and make sure that it's all smooth sailing for them. So it either way, it kind of fucks up their sense of independence, right? And there are numerous psychological studies that are
Yeah, like
that,
when
that
they taste
show
their
these
first
things.
failure and stuff.
Yeah, they just cannot deal with it. So anxiety, depression, all those things come into play, right?
Yeah,
So
like
it's a
even
very
telling
fine
your
tune.
even telling your
Right.
kid like, oh, you're special from day one, and then they
Yes.
eventually find out, they're not that special. When you grow up with the kind of illusion that you are special, and then when you in real life taste disappointment and defeat and failure for the first time, you lose yourself to it, and then you don't seem to be able to pick yourself back up. Or the kids who have gone through enough, they have that emotional capacity to deal with it and come out even stronger.
Right.
So there's really only two outcomes. You either survive it or you just wallow in it, and then it affects every decision you make thereafter.
Sorry
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
I've got to go because my Darius is looking for me now.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
sure.
Yeah.
We no problem. Can,
Sorry.
Hey, thanks
Yeah, thanks for coming on,
Okay.
Waylin.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
Can.
Hey,
Right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now that the mom is away.
The boys
that's
come out to
it.
play.
Hey, so like honestly speaking, what are your takes on parenting? Like
Yeah,
one
in
to one,
general.
boy, man to man, boys to men.
For me, parenting, I would say it's not hard. It's just very tedious. Parenting is not hard. It's tedious. It's like you say. It's all about the consistent effort. So it's all about the mindset. Otherwise, you can go very overboard with this. I mean, myself being a crazy good example of too much of a good thing is quite bad.
Yeah.
What the freedom thing?
Yeah, too much freedom, or even having a cell phone. And back then, I think today a lot of kids have phones.
Yeah.
And it's actually not unusual to see, even on the train, an infant. I wouldn't say like a young child, like
Right.
an infant, maybe like 2 to 3 years old, and they have their eyes glued to a smartphone. For me, I feel that exposure at that young an age can be quite disencouraging. In the sense, it's not a bad thing. Like, I mean, if you moderate it well, if they learn to work with it well, and in fact, if this becomes something of a way for them to direct their restlessness to, I think it's a good way to manage it. But like at the same time, how many kids do you now see still in the park playing football with their friends?
Still got people doing that on there.
Yeah, exactly. So when nowadays, like when I walk past the park, or it's mostly young adults, like guys our age,
Right.
who are playing like basketball or
Street
soccer
soccer,
in the
yeah.
cage. The kids that we were today, you don't see them out there. You see them walking around in shopping malls. And those were stuff that we did as well, growing up. But like,
Yeah, but we had this additional, outdoor aspect to it,
yeah, we
under the
literally
sun. And
imagine we were out on the soccer field, at the park,
Yeah.
or in school until 9-10 at night, which shouldn't be right, but like we were there.
Yeah,
quite
I
late.
will go back. I will gonna scold by my mom.
Right,
Yeah,
we
same.
get a scolding just for coming back late, but we weren't out doing
Yeah.
anything stupid. We were
Yeah.
out, we were getting active, we were hanging out with friends. We weren't doing anything illegal per se. and
Yeah,
stuff like
doing
that.
participating in a fairly healthy sport, occasional injuries here and there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that
So
was healthy.
and for me, like the kids today, like I think they're missing out.
Right.
It's not their fault probably, because it's very easy to be handed a smartphone today and like, okay, go entertain yourself,
Yeah.
and then only to have that bite you back later, because you'll be like, why are you on the phone all the time?
Right.
The causal effect.
So
Yeah.
Where
I gotta ask this question. Is your phone sort of acting as a pacifier now. So when they get restless or whatever, right, you throw on a YouTube clip of like a cartoon or whatever, just to shut them up for that quick second.
For now, right, when we do use videos and everything, it's more like during meal times, so we need him to sit still.
Okay.
And then, while he has his eyes distracted by, the moving pictures, we can feed him, we can sort of entertain him for a bit.
Yeah, because
beyond that, most of
I
the time-
know a lot of parents are using that as that kind of a tool. Because if
Yeah.
not, they are just running around. Like the last thing
And
they
they
want to
can't deal
do
with
is to just sit down and stay still and have a proper meal. That's the last thing on their mind.
Yeah. So I mean, if you use it as a moderation, so in the moderation, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
But like for us, I think me and Lin agree on this. Like, we're probably not even going to give him like I mean, if I give him a phone, it's literally going to be like one of the old phones that we used to use.
Right, just for calling sake and
Just
messaging
for
sake.
calling,
Right?
and there's not going to be Wi-Fi on it. There's not going to be
So
Instagram,
so your kid's
Facebook.
gonna have a burner phone.
He's gonna have a burner phone. At least for the first, few years where he needs a phone.
Right.
But at the same time, when he has a phone and he say, how come they can have this and I can't? Because they will always make this comparison. How come he has that kind of phone?
That's true.
Then
That's what I would do.
Okay, then we would the steps there will be how to get him ready for a phone like that.
Right.
Rather than saying, oh, you can't have it yet. No, we're just saying, okay, you have to earn it.
Right.
You have to show us that you can manage yourself with a phone like that. Which is why also like right now, just between me and Lin, when we have our meals, when we are out eating with the family and everything, our phones are like on the seat, tucked away, they're put in the bag or somewhere where it won't distract us from what we're doing.
Right, that's good.
And hopefully this continues into like as the years goes up, he's gonna realize, during meal times or during family time or when when we're sitting down together, even if we're just like watching TV together or stuff, phones are away. I think it's important to build habits like that rather than just blatantly, here's the phone, go entertain yourself.
At least
It doesn't make
have
sense.
your attention distracted on one common thing than it being
Yeah,
separate.
I mean, you're doing it together, right?
Yeah. And also I think like following what other parents do just to fit in is a really dumb thing to do. Like, so what if all these other parents are giving their kids phones and their kids are getting distracted all the time, have the attention span of a goldfish? Does that mean that just to let my kid fit in, I'm going to turn him into that as well?
And like we were saying earlier, what we really want to be for Darius is people that he can come to when he needs to be heard, when he needs to voice something out, or when he's having like trouble. I think we want to be able to be that channel for him as well.
Definitely.
Let him be able to make his own choices to a certain degree, of course, but like have the empowerment that he is in control of his life. If he doesn't want to do this and he has a valid reason not to do it, then don't do it.
Right.
I think that's when the art of sorry, continue first.
On the other hand, if he feels very strongly about something, then that's why we have to sit down and say and talk about it and find out why do you feel so strongly about this? Why do you want to do this? And how come this end up as it? Then
that's true.
For me, I would say like, then do it. And then I'll watch you fuck up, burn, and come back and say, okay, I learned my lesson.
Right.
I think that's the art of like parenting right there. It's threading that very fine line between being an authoritarian and being authoritative, and on the extreme end being super permissive, like whatever goes, man. Like that in itself also has another set of problems.
It's definitely ethical.
Yeah. So it's the art of the balance.
Yeah. And like you said, moderation, just like when you're giving them phones or, technology to use, it's all about that moderation. Because if you don't have that, then that's when the emotional, instability comes and sets in. So I think it boils down to, that level of moderation. And if you provide structure and guidance, early on in their lives, then I think they can learn how to handle that a lot better. right, as
So,
opposed
like,
to flying off the handle. And I think that goes a long way to giving them that fine tune of autonomy,
yeah,
right? And yeah, for them to develop that critical thinking skills, especially in today's day and age. I think it's really really important. With all your bullshit out there, you have to be able to filter through that bullshit and be smart enough to question right from wrong and to tell right from wrong.
yeah.
So yeah.
It's giving that space lah for them to grow. I just thought of an analogy like how there's a certain shark, right? You keep it in a tank and it's only gonna grow as big as that tank is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it will only grow as big as what the container is, and you never really know how big they are gonna get. So if you put this limiting belief as much as you want, or as ambitious as you think it is, they could actually become more than you expect them to be. But don't remove those preconceived notions of what you want them to be, then you would never know lah.
Yeah. Hey Gee, that's why you taller than me, right? Because your house bigger than mine, right?
Yeah. Ceiling higher.
Higher ceilings, right? You stretch further.
Yeah.
I think it's about that space, yeah, definitely. You and again, of course, a fine tune, right? A balance and not too much autonomy.
You gotta have that good cop, bad cop sort of a vibe between the parents, I think.
Yeah.
So who's the
somebody
good
has
cop,
to be
who's
the
the bad cop? Who's the bad, who's the good?
I would think visually, it seems like I'm the good cop now, only because she's the one, she's the main caretaker and everything.
She's probably gonna be the disciplinarian also lah.
For now lah, at least until he starts to form like proper notions, perceptions and stuff like that. But when that comes about, then it becomes more important for me to become the bad cop.
Right. Then the
in a
belt
sense,
come out.
I need to be able to call him on his bluffs. I need to be able to call him on like the bullshit that he is pushing out of his head.
Yeah, actually, speaking about that, right? I think that a lot of parents are aware of that, but sometimes I've noticed is the ego gets in the way, and the way they go about doing it seems to be to humiliate the kid more than to educate. And yeah, I think parents have to be extra careful of that or aware of that. If they wish to call them on their bullshit, do it in the right way, right? And don't humiliate them essentially, but
it's
educate.
Strange. It's very strange because humiliation works as a better tool, a better stick than actual punishment.
Yeah, but the stick will backfire one.
That's why, and I think that stick cuts really fucking deep. Like this one cuts all the way into the psyche, instead of just the skin, right?
It's
So
like
like-
self-esteem will be gone.
Yeah.
Then next time when they are out in like a work situation or social environment, it's hard for them to open up.
Yeah, definitely. So
Because of
like
that.
I'm like over the last few years, like there's been a lot of clips of dads being dads in front of their kids.
Mhm.
Like how?
And this so like I mean dad jokes aside, like so like these fathers would outright embarrass their kids in front of in public. Like they'll do funny weird shit, and then the kid at some point the kid looks more like the parent than the parent himself.
Right. No, I think that's fine. I
Right?
get
That's
that,
all
but
for, like,
that's okay. Yeah, shits
fun.
and giggles,
Right?
But if like your kid genuinely did something wrong, right, and you choose a means of punishment as a means to humiliate them, then yeah, that's a little concerning. If it's just for jokes, shits and giggles, like I remember seeing this video of the dad driving the daughter to school, and as the daughter gets out of the car walking to school, then the dad's like, "I love you, Katie," and then he's just shouting, and then the whole school's like looking back, and then she's fucking
And she's like
embarrassed.
she has to hide her she has to hide her head.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, she's laughing, underneath it all, and yeah, it seems like that's kind of the culture they have going for them. So I think that's okay, that's healthy. Yeah, but in
Not
a
the public
situation,
shaming.
yeah, that's fucked up. The beating in public, screaming at your child in the
So it's the abuse that's the abusive sort of approach
Yeah.
that's less.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
about that the choice of negative reinforcement that you're giving in a situation that requires negative reinforcement, So yeah, I guess that part's a little delicate because emotions are high, and the kid also knows that, they've done wrong.
Sometimes it's up to the parent to kind of moderate their emotions a bit.
Yeah.
Because some parents don't have that kind of emotional quotient, emotional intelligence to hold themselves back, or they
yes.
are easy to embarrass. So the kid makes a bunch of noise, then they'll be like, "Okay, shut the fuck up. If not, the apun and then come and catch you." That's a racist thing we should get into it. We get into.
We did. I think we did it.
Yeah.
You did it on the previous
our
episode.
last
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. You just don't publicly call them out.
Yeah,
like
don't
that.
publicly humiliate your kid, right? And yeah, and definitely don't perpetuate racial stereotypes.
Yes.
The one for me and my people, thank you. Yeah.
So we can replace with who come and catch you.
The boogeyman. We didn't say the boogeyman. Boogeyman has no race, right?
The bogeyman.
Bogeyman no race one. Bogeyman. Then they permanently scared of old people. Then Singapore aging population, then
Ageism.
GP mafia. Yeah, ageism now.
Yeah, any virus is from the old people. So it goes back to the point that Jeremy made. Instead of us, being helicopter parents and being the people to push them to do certain things, it's more like a mediator, more like a referee.
Yeah. More like time out.
Yeah, because
Stop.
they actually have to go through the lessons and learn what is right or wrong for themselves instead of someone telling them. Because for a matter of fact, like people tell you not to do this, you're like, okay,
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna try it out and then see. Then only you experience it and you learn it. Just by listening to it doesn't fucking register at all. Okay, so let's make a kind of time capsule here for Darius. To bookend this episode. So how old is he now? How old is he now?
Well, he just turned one,
He just turned
a couple
one.
weeks ago.
Okay.
Next season should be like 16 or 18.
Yes.
Like-
So would you have words of wisdom for him for when he turns 16, and you put it down in this podcast? So when it hits 16, you play this thing.
2036. In 2036, Darius, if you're listening, your daddy is talking to you now.
I would say, just try everything. Just try, but know that there are consequences. I think that's important. Just try, and then know that there are consequences. Like whatever you do, just try, and then live with the choices that you've made. That's important. But beyond that, like have fun. Stop worrying about life. Life will come to you eventually. Just gotta go there and do what you want to do.
All right. I think we've
thanks
come to
Shi
the end
Hao
of this.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And that's it for this episode.
Bye.
Okay, that's all. Bye.
Hey guys.